What's up, guys? Welcome back to Be Better. We are doing some more short videos. I want to call this the To Be Better podcast, but Chris politely informed me a minute ago that it's not, that we are just To Be Better and that we have a podcast. And now that it's ingrained in my brain that it is To Be Better podcast, to just say welcome back to Be Better is really hard for me. Yeah. It doesn't even sound the same. So welcome back to Be Better, the podcast.
Damn it.
We are not doing the podcast currently. We are answering questions that we have fielded from TikTok and YouTube. And we are still doing a long duration podcast on Sundays.
Yes.
But we have a lot. I have 2 pages of questions and probably 15 screenshots, and she does as well. So we're trying to not do a 2-hour podcast on Sunday. So welcome. I'm Chris, and this is Chris. We are, in fact, the Chris's, which has become the thing now. And I've seen on TikTok per the Chris's, which needs to be a hashtag, per the Chris's.
That does it for me.
Doesn't
like,
it?
I don't know what it does in my brain, but like, oh. And I said this the other day, but I want to say it again just because it makes me feel important. People say the Chris's, and other people know exactly what they're talking about.
Tell me that doesn't do it for your ego.
Makes my tits feel a certain way, probably. So, the question that we had on TikTok.
We are so dumb.
We really are, but I think that's why we mesh so well.
Yeah.
Would you like me to get you another one?
No.
Do you want some of mine?
No.
I just want to take care of you.
I appreciate that.
So this person said, I hold resentments because of things he's done to me. I want him to feel as bad as I do, and I hate that. I just want to love him again like I did when we first met, but I'm dealing with betrayal trauma. Do you guys have any tips? That hurts my heart. I can't imagine ever wanting to do payback.
Right.
You know?
In a world of an eye for an eye, everyone is blind.
Right.
Why would you want to? Okay, so look, I understand hurt. Mm-hmm. I do. I mean, obviously, this is not either one of our first marriages, and we have learned a lot from past relationships and past marriages to get us to where we are. Mm-hmm. We have done a lot of dirty work.
Right.
But the idea of you saying something to hurt my feelings and me lashing out to make you feel the same way doesn't do it for me.
Right.
I don't want that. Like,
you're supposed to love each other.
I said, like, you are supposed to love each other. That's the point. If you want to be happy, like she said,
right,
and she wants to get past the past betrayal or hurt, do the dirty work. Why would you want to intentionally make things worse by making him feel like he made you feel? I don't know the situation. He could have cheated. He could have slept with her sister. I don't know what happened there, because she didn't say exactly what it was. Right. But when it comes down to it, trying to make someone else feel horrible because you feel horrible is 3-year-old stuff.
Right. That's middle school shit.
You don't do that. And that's the second time I've liked in this podcast, this video. I'm really trying not to do that.
Get it together.
Get it together, grouch. I don't think that that's ever going to be the answer.
No, it's not.
I think that you need to express that you are hurt. He needs to validate that hurt.
He also needs to
and
acknowledge the fact that he caused that hurt.
Right. And then you need to start working on a plan to get you past whatever it is that you went through so that you guys can have that happiness that you say you want. Because if you really, truly want it, you're going to let that past go. You're going to have to. Otherwise, you're going to have to let him go, because you are going to continue to poison this entire situation because you want revenge on someone you love.
I feel like there's two parts in that. You know, he did what he did. This is all hypothetical. We don't know the scenario.
Right.
Say he apologized. He has made amends for what he did. He has changed behaviors. He is going above and beyond to show that he's not only remorseful for what he did, but he wants to do what he can to make that relationship better. You holding on to that is invalidating everything that man is trying to do to move on with you.
That's actually a really good point.
Right. And now it's to her end of things. In my mind, the worst case scenario in a relationship is a betrayal of trust. I feel like everything falls down to trust. There's a loyalty. Loyalty goes into trust. If I'm invited somewhere, you're not allowed to go. I'm not going.
Right.
I almost said the F word.
I
myself.
caught that.
If you really want to be with somebody, like this is your person, you have to understand in relationships, you're going to have to forgive things. Nobody is perfect.
Right.
The person who caused that trauma is not perfect, and the person who has to now work past that trauma is not perfect. There has to be understanding between the two of them. She has to understand that to move forward, you're going to have to forgive. You're going to have to let go. In 10 years, you can't bring up the fact that he cheated or that he lied to you or he spent whatever money. I don't think a lot of people understand the amount of work it takes to make something work, especially if there's been trauma caused. If you cannot accept the fact that that person did that to you and that they're now remorseful, you need to leave. You can't hold that person as a hostage in a relationship because your feelings are hurt.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. So the thing that I think people are going to get caught up on in this is two things. One, I think they're going to be like, I can't believe you're telling people to just leave, which I want to make clear that that's not what we're doing. We're telling you to work through your shit. And then if you can't work through your shit, you have to let that person go because you were not able to forgive.
Right.
At what point, and this is me asking you this, not hypotheticals, at what point, if you slighted someone, how far would you go to make amends if you were not having any progress in the amends being had? So I guess.
So do you mean like my actions?
Dummy down. If I lied to you or if I did something to you that you didn't like and we talked about it and you were not able to forgive me right away. And I was empathetic. I was very validated your emotions and I'm really trying to move forward. And over the next couple of weeks, I'm doing everything I can to show you that I'm actively working on change. You're seeing it.
Right.
How far does that have to go before you give and validate that I'm actually trying and we start working through shit? Because eventually I'm going to go, okay, this has been months now that I have been atoning for my sins and you are not allowing me to move forward. I'm going to quit trying.
Right.
And at that point, it's not going to matter if you're still hurt or not because I've tried to make amends and you've shit on that. There's no reason for us to even bother anymore. So my question to you is, how long is that? What do you feel is an acceptable time frame? Like, I hate when I say that. Like,
you're right.
If you're able to see that change is taking place and you are not able to get over it, does that mean that you're not doing the dirty work on your part? Does that mean you're not communicating to them why you're hurt and why you're still hurt and that it's going to take time? Like, there has to be some sort of way forward and it needs to be done in a somewhat timely fashion because eventually people will quit.
I think it depends on the scenario. You know, if you lie to me about spending $6,000 on a computer, that's different than you cheating on me.
Right.
You know, if you lied to me about money, that's going to be a much shorter time span of me being able to get over that. If you're showing to me, like you're sending me receipts.
Right.
You text me and say, hey, I'm going to go to Target and I'm spending $300. That is a more easier thing to gain trust back on. If you cheated on me, that would have to be like, I don't know, I could say it could be 6 months. It could be a year. It could be 5 years before like I'm completely over that and able to trust you the way that I did. But it also has to be you showing me that you're trying to gain my trust back, but it's also me showing you that I'm trying to trust you
That's
again.
what I was getting at.
Right.
That's the part that I'm getting at. So if say it took 5 years. Say I cheated on you and it took 5 years for you to get over that.
Right.
That's your longest time frame that you just laid out.
Yeah.
If we're 6 months in and you've been checking my Facebook and checking my text messages and I've been completely transparent, doing everything I can, trying to regain intimacy and lust and trying to do everything that I can think to do to make our relationship better, and you are not showing any sort of reciprocation to that.
Right.
I'm done. I'm not going to continue trying. I'm going to take the L. I'm going to be like, yeah, I fucked up in this scenario and I lost my woman and I'm done. Like, I'm not going to live 5 years of shame and unhappiness.
Exactly.
While you're shunning me while I'm trying to make things right. There has to be an abbreviation period, and that might be the wrong word. And I want to Google it so bad right now because it's going to eat at me. But there needs to be a time frame where both parties acknowledge the issue at hand and then start actively working to make things better. And if in 6 months things are not changing in any way, shape, or form, you know, I could be like, hey, maybe we need to seek therapy. Like things are not changing. I'm realizing they're not changing. And if I ever say that to you personally, you know that that's the last straw. Like I have nothing else to offer at that point, and this is literally my last ditch effort because I would rather take an ass beating than go to therapy again. Personal reasons, not because of therapists. But I guess the whole point of me asking all of that is because if she is holding on to something that happened 3 years ago,
That's a problem.
and she's still trying to make him feel like shit.
It's time to move on.
Right.
And
can you even say that you love somebody at that point?
Right.
Truly.
Like if that person is going above and beyond. So this is a different scenario from someone who's not even trying to make amends for what they did. Right. We're not even speaking about people who aren't trying to be like, I'm sorry I hurt you. Let me do everything I can to fix this. Let me change my behaviors and show you that I'm sorry. That's a different scenario. We're not speaking on that. So I don't want to hear it in the comments. Yeah, well, my man's he hasn't even apologized about it.
It's not the discussion being had.
That's not the discussion. This is about somebody who is going out of their way to go above and beyond to prove a point that they are fixing things to better the future with their partner. I don't even remember where I was going with that. I got sidetracked with everything I said.
It's okay. It happens.
What was I saying?
You were talking about, you were saying that in the event that you went on your tangent because of the men who are not trying to make things better.
Okay, right. So if it's been 3 years, okay, I'm back on it now.
Okay.
A man's going above and beyond, or a woman did something wrong. They're going above and beyond to prove their actions because they want to spend the rest of their life with somebody. The only thing I can think of is if you are not able to look within yourself and say, this person hurt me, they're going through the course or whatever they need to do. If you've laid out things for this person to meet, like quotas of, for me to trust you, I need passwords to everything. They give you all those passwords. You need to acknowledge that.
Right.
If you can't acknowledge the fact that they just gave you everything and say, I appreciate you doing this, like you are allowing me to heal.
It's validation.
It is validation.
Right. And in that scenario, two things are happening. Mm-hmm. They are getting the recognition of, hey, you hurt me.
Right.
So I need these passwords. And then they give it, that's them validating that hurt.
Right.
And then it's on you to validate, hey, I recognize that you're trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
This is the steps that we need to take to start healing.
If you can't validate their effort on trying to heal you, like if your hurt is much greater than their attempts to try and fix that hurt, like you said, I don't want to be the reason people leave or people end whatever relationship they're in. You need to accept that there's nothing that they can do to help heal you. Right.
You also, in that scenario, you have to understand that your hurt may never meet the expectations that they're putting in, because you can't put your level of feeling on an effort that they're putting back. It's not going to ever be the same. Sometimes hurt goes too deep for that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I see what you're saying. And as much as I did say that earlier about us not wanting to break people up, because that's not what we want. We want to make people better. That's the whole point of to be better. Mm-hmm. I also know that we have both wasted a lot of time in life.
Yeah.
And knowing what I know now and doing the dirty work and realizing hindsight is 20/20, there are a lot of times in my life that I should have walked away from scenarios way, way before I did. So those things would have provided me a very different life than what I currently have.
This is going to sound super shitty and super selfish, but I'm glad you did it, because now you're mine.
I know, I get that. But the point of that is I have traumas, and I have resentment, and I have things that I have to work through still.
Yeah.
Because I did not make a decision quick enough to look out for my well-being.
Yeah. So
any final thoughts on this whole scenario?
Final thoughts are, lay out expectations. If your partner has hurt you and you have certain things that need to be met for you to be able to trust them again, tell them that. If they are not willing to receive that, it might not be worth it. If they receive it and they work on it and they meet everything that you've laid out, you need to accept that they're trying to help, that they're trying to help heal you, that they're trying to make amends for what they did. You need to be open to the forgiveness. You can't hold something like that over somebody's head, especially if they're trying to make amends.
Right.
My biggest point on this is, if you are not, it takes a lot to heal from something somebody's done to you, especially if it was traumatic. If you cannot get through that, like if you do not want to mentally accept that this person is trying to fix it and you just want to hate them and you want to be angry and you be like, well, you hurt me, I'm allowed to feel this way, You're allowed to feel hurt, but you're not allowed to hold on to it for 5 or 10 years.
You're also not taking accountability at that point. You're throwing blame at the other person.
Right.
And before anybody says anything, there's a difference between accountability and blame. And everyone has something to do and part of their situation.
Right.
I don't care what it is. And you can call it extreme if you want to call it extreme, but there are things that you could have done differently in all of this scenario that would have given you a different outcome. So
my final saying is if somebody hurts you, I want you to sit down and say, in 10 years, will I still be hurting from this, and bring it up and throw it in their face? And if the answer is yes, in my opinion, you need to let that person go.
yeah, I agree with that. All right. Done with this one?
Done with this one.
Gonna stop it, go to the next one?
Next one.
See you later, guys.